The US government has stridently asserted that North Korea was almost certainly responsible for the Sony hack, with no evidence whatsoever. Look at this New York Times headline. US said to find North Korea ordered cyber attack on Sony. American officials have concluded that North Korea was centrally involved in the hacking of Sony Pictures computers. Now, if we actually had a real media in the United States, the headline would be something like, "No evidence backs up US claim that North Korea ordered cyber attack on Sony." But because this is the New York Times, which is basically a press release outlet for the White House, we get a headline like this. And it's actually not until halfway down the article that we read, "It is not clear how the United States determined that Mr. Kim's government had played a central role in the Sony attacks." In other words, there's no evidence whatsoever to back up this claim. As Wired News' Kim Zeta reports, the evidence that North Korea hacked Sony is flimsy. Sony and the FBI have announced that they've found no evidence so far to tie North Korea to the attack. In fact, the only evidence that really does indicate anything is that this hack attack on Sony Pictures was an inside job. As TMZ reports, the people at Sony who are investigating believe the hackers had intimate knowledge of mail systems and their configurations. They also believe the hackers have knowledge of the internal media distribution systems and the internal IT systems, including human resources and payroll. And they're suggesting that there could be a link between the huge number of Sony layoffs that have taken place recently and an aggrieved employee that could have been responsible for this hack. The FBI also suspects that the hack was the work of a disgruntled worker, and that even though the Guardians of Peace group has taken responsibility for breaking into Sony's servers, the group had to have had help from someone familiar with the infrastructure. And after Sony announced yesterday that it would pull the movie The Interview from all cinemas, Paramount followed suit by announcing that Team America, which of course also insults North Korea, would be pulled from theatres nationwide. But amidst the myriad of accusations and theories as to who is responsible for this hack, be it North Korea or some kind of inside job by a disgruntled employee, here's what they're not telling you. The two previous cyber attacks that caused anywhere near the alarm created by this Sony hack were done by the US government. When Alex Jones accused the United States of being behind the Stuxnet virus attack back in 2010 in order to grease the skids for draconian cybersecurity measures, he was labelled a conspiracy theorist. 2 years later, it emerged that the US and Israel were almost certainly responsible for the attack. And again, we saw the same thing with the Flame virus aimed at targeting Iran's nuclear program. It was a conspiracy theory to blame this on the United States and Israel. Lo and behold, the Washington Post subsequently reported US-Israel developed Flame computer virus to slow Iranian nuclear efforts. But of course, at the time, the blame was solely pinned on foreign actors like Russia, just as it is being pinned on North Korea now with the Sony hack, in order to justify draconian cybersecurity measures like the ones that Joe Lieberman called for, in giving the White House the same power as China to censor and shut down the internet. So what do we see now with the Obama administration saying that North Korea is responsible with no evidence whatsoever, that this is a national security matter, and that it reiterates the fact that Congress should pass the cybersecurity bill. So now we see this being exploited. Politicians respond to Sony hack, call for cybersecurity bill. Cybersecurity legislation that has repeatedly stalled in Congress is now looking set to get the green light in the aftermath of this Sony hack. John McCain said in a statement, Congress as a whole must also address these issues and finally pass long overdue comprehensive cybersecurity legislation. And just by coincidence, Obama State Department official Catherine Novelli was meeting with China's internet censorship czar, This is the guy overseeing the Great Firewall of China, the infamous government censorship program over the entire web. She was meeting with him at an event in Washington, urging cooperation on cybersecurity between the United States and China. While, of course, the Obama administration moves to reclassify the internet under the Telecommunications Act, making it susceptible to FCC control, greasing the skids for government oversight and regulation of the web. So isn't it convenient that right at the time the cybersecurity legislation is stalled in Congress, as the Obama administration shows its desperation to regulate the internet, now we have this convenient Sony hack that can be used to grease the skids for tightened control. But what do you think? Am I a conspiracy theorist for even daring to suggest this premise, just as I was labelled a conspiracy theorist for saying the US was behind Stuxnet and Flame, which later proved to be the case? Or do you think that this is the work of a disgruntled employee, the work of a foreign actor like North Korea, or is a wider conspiracy afoot? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm Paul Joseph Watson reporting for Infowars.com.
Hans Briggs? Oh, no! Oh, hello. Great to see you again, Hans.